So we're now live, which means if I press this button, which I know that Alyssa's not overly keen on the choices of music that I choose, but tough.
Exactly. I didn't have to choose it and take the responsibility for the decision, so I'm cool with anything you choose, Leonard.
Excellent. Right, so we are live. We'll start gathering some viewers shortly. We are going to be joined as well a little bit later by somebody who's going to be joining us from Wizard World as well. So if there's any questions that you want to put forward to that topic, just generally if there's anywhere that you want James to go and have a look-see, by all means. You may notice that we also haven't got our super duper countdown because we're currently re-prepping that up for this new run because we're just nailing down who's going to be sponsoring us this time round. Although I suspect it's going to be Dark Bunny Tees again, but just kind of giving them a bit of a break for the moment. So yes, as we are live, do let us know where you're watching from, and of course, if there's any questions, do start putting them forward in the Q&A of the Google Plus event. If you do want to interact using the Q&A, go to the Google Plus event, which is listed at the top of my Englishman SDCC Twitter feed, and yeah, jump in, press Q&A on the video profile, and it should list all the Q&A. But this is where I'm now typing as well, typing and talking.
Yes.
Always fun. You see, Alyssa has already got the whole thing out. She types faster than me. It's not fair.
Copy paste. With minor edits.
Dan Berry has joined us. Thank you very much indeed for your comments on my Periscope earlier. Yes, I know that there's been a couple of that we can talk about, especially in regards to the stadium and all the nonsense that's happening there, because I do know that that's proven a little bit awkward at the moment. They're just getting very confrontational when it comes to the way that they're approaching any conversation about the stadium campaign. It's just proving very awkward.
Are you talking about the SDCC expansion, the convention center expansion in San Diego?
Yeah, it's part of that. It's also part about their own stadium.
Oh, the non-contiguous. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
approach to.
But they've actually attacked a local San Diego councilman who basically confronted the stadium proposal. At which point they just put their attack dogs on them, which was just a little bit unfair.
So the football proponents to building a new football stadium in downtown San Diego are getting a little attacky?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy.
What else is new? What else is new?
Just in time for football season too.
Of course.
Not to upset the geeks who are also football fans, because we do have that contingent.
Hey, go sports.
I've been known to watch a football game or two myself. It's fun with the whole social thing and, cheering somebody on.
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of following the Olympics, so does that count as athletic prowess? It seems we came second in the medals table.
Woo!
Way behind the States. Congratulations, bud. Fair play to you. Excellent. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, which means it's time for Talkin Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. This is our weekly show where we talk San Diego Comic-Con, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense in between. Plenty of other cons are still taking place even now as the summer convention season wraps up. We will be having a live report, hopefully, from Wizard World. James Binder is going to be joining us a little bit later. But if there's anything you want to talk about in terms of con culture, anything that's happened in the news, certainly in terms of the Wizard World controversy that happened this week, both of them, considering there's been some art theft going on, which was detailed in Bleeding Cool, and of course the whole business with GS Arms, sorry. We will be talking about that a little bit later. If there's anything about that you want to talk about, if there's anything else, do jump in on the Q&A on the Google Plus event. Any questions, do let us know. Let us know where you're watching from as well. And of course, you can let us know using the hashtag #CupOTSDCC. Please jump in on the conversation. Joined today by my two guests. We've got ourselves my regular partner in crime, Alyssa Franks from the Friends of CC Forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm well. Getting over the mid-season hump. Excited for the last shows of the year, Dragon Con. Hope to find somebody to do a live report from Dragon Con if anybody's out there who's going to be doing that. And, of course, NYCC. Plus, really getting excited for the new TV season. Sci-Fi Channel, I think, has got like a half dozen shows they're putting on this year, like real science fiction shows, so I'm pretty amazed by that. But that's what my week has been like.
Okay. And are you preparing for a Star Trek convention as well soon?
Yes. I'll be driving down to New York for the Star Trek celebration. I'm looking forward to that. It will be my first time as press. I don't quite know what to expect, but and I have not been doing my SDCC fit, so I'm a bad person. So I am going to die in New York City without having done any walking since San Diego.
I can tell you from personal experience, not a good thing.
Yes.
Not a good thing at all. Because, yes, as most people know, I did some damage to my foot at Star Wars Celebration the weekend before SDCC. So I was limping around San Diego quite a lot. A lot of fun. One of the places where I did limp to was at CONIVAL, which was held at Petco Park. Did you see that segue? Did you see how that went? I thought it was rather smooth. We have been joined by Rachel Hine, who's the editor-in-chief at Nerdist. Hello, Rachel. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
I mean, have you done any interviews like this about CONIVAL? I mean, is this the first time you've had the chance to really talk about what you got up to at San Diego?
Yeah, actually. I mean, I spoke with people at CONIVAL. We had people come back to the green room, but I was running around so much when it was going on that it was kind of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. So it's exciting to talk about it now that it's happened and it went, pretty well. So it's exciting to be on the other side of it, for sure.
Oh, I'd say it was a success. I mean, was this year 2 at Petco Park for you? For the CONIVAL event?
For CONIVAL, yes. We were at Petco 3 years ago on the upper level when Nerd HQ was in the second concourse where we were. And so we had laser tag up there, but it wasn't the scale that we had last year and this year. So this was the second one, and this was my first year really being involved with the CONIVAL aspect, as well as the coverage of breaking news and everything coming out of CONIVAL for the actual site and the news portion of it. So balancing that was definitely, this was a first for me. So.
I can imagine that was a lot of spinning of plates. Well, I suppose it's a good place to start then, just as a brief introduction, if somebody doesn't know who you are. I mean, I know that obviously the main face or faces of Nerdist, you've got Chris, of course, and Matt, and the usual guys from the podcast, and of course the guys from the live shows and the YouTube shows. What do you do for Nerdist?
So I'm the editor-in-chief there, so I manage our team of editors and writers. We have 5 full-time editors who are also our hosts that you would recognize from the shows like Dan Casey and Kyle Hill. We had Malik Forte before, who has moved on, but we've got Matt Grossinger, who does music for us, Alicia Lutz, who is my co-host on a new show we're doing called Fangirling. And so I manage that team. I manage the content that comes out of the website, and we have about 20 to 25 freelance writers that we work with as well. So I manage content strategy, I manage the team, I help manage the schedule, and then I work with all the other departments within Nerdist, so our sales team, our marketing team, analytics, everything from the nuts and bolts of the website to other platforms that we're on to live events. So I kind of coordinate the editorial side with all the other departments at Nerdist.
Everything, basically.
Yeah.
If it has the word Nerdist on it, you've got your fingers in those pies. Certainly when it came to CONIVAL then, what was your role in putting that event together?
So CONIVAL is very much
content or
yeah, it was multifold, but it's very much a team effort. So we worked with a great company that helps us design everything that you see there. We worked with the theme with Chris and Felicia because we were there with Geek Sundry, our sister site as well. So I worked with our editorial staff and our writers to attend press rooms and do interviews, to cover panels and breaking news out of the convention. We worked with the Nerdist news team, so they were figuring out which panels they wanted to cover live. We did a lot of Facebook Live this year and sort of reported live, which was really fun from CONIVAL. And then the other side of that, which normally that's what I do every year, the second side was working with our talent producers and the company Encompass that puts on the whole event with us to book all the guests that came to the main stage and coordinate with the publicists to make sure that they got in safely. I had a security working with me this year, which was a first for me, so that was really interesting to figure out. You've got so many fans and you want to make sure that people feel safe, so figuring out where to check people in, how we're going to get them to the stage, and then all of the content that came out of those interviews as well. So it started with booking everyone and then figuring out the announcements and getting the schedule up, and then really the run of show throughout the whole weekend.
Okay. I'll tell you what, we'll do a bounce thing. I'll ask a question, and then I'll let Alyssa ask a question. So I'll get my first one in. And, unless, Alyssa, are you eager? Are you chomping at the bit?
Well, the first question that came to mind is, what don't you do?
It's not just me, it's a whole bunch of people. It's just managing kind of all of that. So.
Okay. I mean, I think the first question that I really want to put forward, especially when it comes to CONIVAL, is because it is an off-site event which is definitely kind of marshalling talent, which is also appearing at San Diego. And I can imagine this is a very similar challenge that Nerd HQ have, in that they are kind of pulling from the schedules and the timetables of the scheduling that SDCC put together. When does things really start gelling together for an event like CONIVAL?
It depends on which aspect, but it does come together right close to Comic-Con, because people's schedules are shifting so much. Even ours, we put on our own panels with Comic-Con, and they're great partners with them. So it's always kind of a last minute thing, which is exciting and stressful, but in terms of the event itself, we start planning pretty early on so that we can be ready for that. But in terms of programming, it is definitely, there might be a week of last-minute change. And that's why we try to keep everything digital, our schedules and things like that. So we had those signs that had the schedule in them, and we could update them live in case we had to switch people around. Hard to get around from point A to point B in San Diego, too, especially with these large casts. So anytime something's swapped out, we just do it in real time. So we kind of stay on our toes the whole time.
So in San Diego, when you have when you're focused in on doing one particular project, are you able to kind of block everything else out, or do you have to really just focus on multitasking and overseeing everybody, so you never get a chance to do any of the writing for a particular event that's occurring, and you just pretty much leave that up to the individual hosts that are putting on that particular event?
It depends on the event. This year, for sure, because I was in the green room most of the time and managing the stage, I didn't end up writing anything. But that's what's great about my team, which is they are the hardest working team out there. They are amazing. And so we had the hosts doing the interviews on stage. We had Kyle Anderson, our associate editor, and Matt Grossinger, one of our editors, kind of manning the fort in an editorial room right next to the green room. So we were coordinating the whole time in case anyone had questions or we wanted to figure out how to cover something. So it's really, that's the great thing that about having such a great team like that, is that I can help delegate and I can answer questions when I need to, but they really take the ball and run with it so that I can focus on what I'm doing at any given time.
How many people did you have on staff for San Diego?
Oh gosh, I would say, I mean, most of our office goes down. We take a big bus, so it's really fun. On the way there, everyone's like singing and listening to music, and then on the way home, it's dead silent and everyone's sleeping. But yeah, I think we work with this company Encompass, so they were sort of the brand reps. They hire more people to help with the individual places at CONIVAL, but for the coverage for my team, we had our 6 full-time folks, and then we had about 10 freelancers down there. So.
Well, when you've got teams like that, then again you're also having to kind of coordinate with Geek and Sundry. How did that work? I mean, is it a case of sitting in the office and saying, okay, we do this and you do this, and this is how we kind of divvy up the event? How did that work?
Yeah, so we all work together. We have weekly starting months in advance, and so we figure out what makes sense for each brand. We do a lot of the interviews. They have really fun interactive games that they play, so making sure that we're in the right spaces for what we want to do, that we're all sort of under the same cohesive, feeling, and that it all fits into the theme that we've picked, which this year was summer camp, which is really, really fun. So it's a constant just discussion and back and forth about what works for both of us, and it ends up being really great because we cover a lot of the same things, but we address them in different ways and we do it in different ways, so it really meshes together into I think a really fun experience.
So, I mean, certainly the one thing that I did notice this year, because I did manage to get to CONIVAL last year as well. Last year it was very busy on the actual the event floor and at Petco. This year was a little bit more subdued, but I suspect that was also down to some very stringent security when it came to Petco Park. This was obviously an issue that spread across all of San Diego, as you know, with various things happening around town this year. With Petco, what's been the relationship with Petco Park in terms of actually hosting CONIVAL at their location?
Oh, they've been a great partner, and that was something that when we learned there'd be stronger security, we thought this is super important, and there's a lot going on in the world right now, and we want to make sure that everyone feels safe everywhere that they are. So it was really just a dialogue of if anyone was having issues, we just worked it out with them, but they were a great partner.
Okay. Alyssa, do you have anything you want to jump in on?
I was sort of wondering, so you primarily dealt with CONIVAL. Were there any other panels that you had a hand in at San Diego? Which panels were those?
So yes, so we Nerdist and Geek Sundry both had their own panels. Geek Sundry, of course, had Critical Role Live and stuff with Felicia, who also came to our CONIVAL. On the Nerdist end, we had a really exciting new panel this year Alicia Lutz, our managing editor, who's a TV goddess, did Nerdist TV about genre-bending shows with Stephen Moffat and Brian Fuller. So that was really, really exciting because she's a big fan. She's been covering these shows for us forever. And so got to have this really awesome dialogue with them that I hope we continue each year, bringing on very cool showrunners to talk about the nature of TV. We also had the big Nerdist panel with Chris Hardwick, which is always so much fun. We have Jessica Chobot and our president, Adam Reimer, and then the editorial team together to talk about what's going on with Nerdist, and that's always fun because it's almost, we do a couple questions down the line and we have fun with each other, but then we open it up to really Q&A so that people feel like they're getting a chance to dialogue with us. Nerdist News Live, and then I moderated the Archaea Comics Labyrinth 30th anniversary panel, which was really, really fun because I'm a big Labyrinth fan, and they produced some really incredible art, so that was fun to get to introduce that to people.
What was it like to moderate a panel in a huge room?
I was nervous, yeah, because I do more public speaking stuff now, but I started out as a writer and an editor, so as you can imagine, I can be a little shy. So I've worked my way up to these big rooms, but at my first Nerdist panel 3 years ago, gosh, I had a little cry beforehand because I was really nervous, and then I got out there and it was so much fun. But I didn't know what to expect. There were so many people, and I was just like, oh God, like I'm normally in my editing cave and I don't know what to talk to anyone. So, but it's fun when you think about. We're all fans. Everyone's here because we love the same stuff, and we want to have a dialogue about it. That makes it a lot less scary, I think. So.
I am most comfortable in dealing with tech stuff, so I totally get where you're coming from, and being thrust in front of the camera like this. It's difficult. I think Leonard doesn't quite understand it because he is so he's been a DJ for so many years. He doesn't quite understand how much we have to overcome to actually be on screen.
Yeah.
Well, I am continuously trying to push Alyssa to host a panel herself next year. So that's fingers crossed on that one. When it comes to that lab, what was that? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying you should do it because once you do it, you realize that it's just really fun, and the more I do it, the less nervous I am. So now I feel pretty good about it.
Who approached who when it came to the Labyrinth panel? Because it was one panel I really wanted to see, but it happened to clash with this thing that I was doing. This panel I was moderating a panel, so I wasn't able to make it myself. Who approached who?
Boom Studios approached me to moderate that one because I'm pretty vocal about my love of the Labyrinth, so I think they knew that I would be interested, and other places have been really kind and sent me we've covered a lot of exclusives for them. We love the Henson stuff. They send us excerpts from their Dark Crystal series and the Labyrinth stuff, so we have a really great relationship with them, and they're awesome. They give us all the awesome comics so that we can share them with everyone. So.
Excellent. Okay, we do have a couple of questions coming in on the Q&A. Thank you very much indeed to everyone watching. Do keep those coming in if there's any questions you want to put to Rachel. This is from Aaron Neighbours, who's saying, how far in advance do you start planning for CONIVAL? I'm guessing it's in terms of kind of actually sitting down in a room and saying, right, this is what we need to do.
So the conversation is ongoing all year. We have wrap-ups from the previous year and start thinking about what the next thing is going to be. But in terms of one of the other big events we do is South by Southwest. So we start planning that at the beginning of the year, and that goes through March. And so I think for the first meeting for our week, we do kind of a weekly and some other things we get together in between. But the start of the weekly was the week after South by Southwest. So.
Fair enough. I mean, certainly the question that I wanted to put forward was when it came to planning, certainly the kind of the content that you want to sort of get on stage and have people appearing. Obviously, Nerdist and Geek and Sundry have very distinct brands in terms of it's not just everything pop culture. It's almost very specific, very curated.
Thank you.
When do you start having conversations with people and talent to kind of get them on board, or is it a case of okay, let's just find out who possibly is going to be in town? Because obviously we had the issue with Fox dropping out and things of that nature.
Yeah. So this year is the first year that I did outreach again with Debbie, who's great. So I had just been talking to people for South by, which is more film-based, but I start reaching out beginning of the summer, maybe 2 months out to publicists that I have worked with in the past or have been there for shows and films, comics, and all those things that we would be interested in, just to gauge who they have coming down there. I always say, like, look, under embargo, we're not looking to soup you. We just would really love to have you on the CONIVAL stage. So those conversations start. I probably started them too early. People were like, calm down, Rachel, like, we're still figuring it out. I know, I want to get you on, I'm so excited, come on. But we start a little early, and then as tidbits start to trickle out and we start hearing who might be there, we follow along with some of the Comic-Con bloggers out there that are keeping an eye on who's coming out, and just kind of say, like, hey, I saw that you're going to be there, you want to come by? So it's definitely an ongoing thing, and people will reach out 2 weeks before, they'll get on board very early, so it's not just our outreach. People, I think, come to like the CONIVAL experience, and they get to do these little interviews on stage that don't detract at all from the huge panels that we always cover on the editorial side, but they're a little bit for the fans to get an extra, I don't know. And so, yeah, so it's I probably started too early this year, but
okay. Something that really strikes me about CONIVAL as well is, I mean, obviously that big stage, which certainly seemed a lot bigger this time round. It was an excellent kind of panel stage. It was gorgeous. But the one thing that really kind of strikes me about CONIVAL is that it's not just about the stage. There's all these little nooks and crannies all the way around the entire Petco Park. Is there any particular highlights for yourself which you kind of like to check out? I mean, I quite like the canoe photo opportunity, the laser tag. There's all sorts. I mean, is there anything that kind of jumps out at you as a highlight?
I think all of them were really great. I think the thing that was most exciting was that it was all in me. It really felt like you were having an experience, and had all of the counselors there too, with those really cool backpacks with the scavenger hunt sort of treasure map challenge was actually my favorite, because you get to see all of these cool things that our team put together and Geek and Sundry put together in the tabletop area, and you got an exclusive pin at the end, so it was sort of interactive, come check out all of the things that we're doing with the map that you had, and then all of the little I just thought that it was so cute and fun, and made it feel like it was part of this like childhood sort of experience. It brings you back to like doing the scavenger hunt and running around and doing the map, and you could see people taking pictures with the burrito and then running across. It's not a race, you can take your time. There's plenty of pins. So that was really fun, I think, the overall like treasure experience.
I quite liked the scavenger hunt element of it. I mean, it's almost like a mini Pokemon Go within Pokemon Go, which was taking place this year. So yeah, lots of fun. Another question that's from Graham Small. Sorry, Alyssa's ready to ask a question. She's chomping at the bit.
Go ahead.
We'll ask this question first. This is from Graham Small. This was my second time in San Diego during Comic-Con, but there did seem to be so many more off-site events. What do you, Rachel, think that makes CONIVAL stand out amongst those?
I think part of it is that we have our personalities that are wandering around, so you really get a chance to meet and experience, Dan Casey punning it up in his element. We try to make it as interactive as possible so that you feel like you're getting feedback there. I think also the themes that we play around with and getting all of these fun activities into something new and different each year are really fun. And I really think that our hosts, Dan and Alicia and Clark Wolf especially, are such thoughtful interviewers, and they have a lot of fun together. So I think that experience, even seeing Kyle Hill, our science editor, I almost cried when I saw this because I was so proud of him, and he's such a talented, brilliant person. And we got to have this Science of Star Trek discussion with Adam Savage and these brilliant scientists, and the whole place just filled up, and you really felt like you were learning something and engaging with them. And I think that's something that we always try to do editorially, is that it's not just, repeating news or things like that. We always try to have an angle. We always try to come at it from a place of knowledge or experience or discussion, and have that sort of lead the news. It's not this casting news. It's, but we know all of the history of this character, and what do we think this means for the movie, and things like that. So I think that sort of engagement, we try to bring that from the editorial side to our events, so real life events. So.
Cool. Alyssa?
Nice. I was just wondering, one of the hardest working people there seems to be Chris Hardwick. And just how many assistants does he have? I mean, to keep him on schedule and in costume, and it seems to be absolutely crazy with the stuff that some of these people have to do.
I'm still convinced he's cloned.
Yeah.
It's the only possible way.
A robot. He's got a team, but he's so passionate and so driven, and one of those people that's just on top of their stuff that, every time I see him, he's happy, he's excited, he's on his way to the next thing, and I think he's one of those people that it's just, that's how he is and that's how he operates. And I certainly would need a nap in between, but he loves what he's doing, so it's really just fun for him. It gets him into the pant he wants to see, is what he says. So.
How often was he able to come across to CONIVAL? Because he is being pulled from pillar to post, it seems.
Yeah,
was he able to represent?
Yeah, absolutely. He came and checked it out, and he also has his live podcast that he does every year, and he moderated the Nerdist panel. So he kind of comes in, and of course he's super involved in the planning stages, and then he's off around the entire thing. I think he's sort of the king of this.
Do you have a question, Alyssa? Because I've got one, but it's a big one.
Well, I did have a question, and then it just went completely out of my mind, which is, the way of these things for me. So unfortunately, I think I'll have to say no.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a second to think about it, because I'm certain that this could be. We'll see how long this convoluted this answer could be, because this is regarding the conversation that a lot of people have when it comes to attending San Diego Comic-Con and the expansion into the city, into what they call the campus experience. And one of the questions always is there any chance of using Petco at all as part of Comic-Con itself? At which point, people like myself and Alyssa, we kind of then do the argument that at the end of the day, it's a very expensive proposition to actually come into Petco. With yourself, you've obviously got a little bit of leeway in terms of your the legendary dump truck of cash, which thankfully is in the back pocket. But just how much of a logistic nightmare is it to kind of sort of like marshal everyone's efforts to move into Petco?
So that's been an established thing for us in the past, and we have a whole team of people who work on getting into Petco, and we have our sales team, so we work with sponsors and have people come in. So that I mean, thankfully, is not really in my purview. I do much more of the content, but it's certainly for everyone. I think it's a beast to go to Comic-Con in general, even as a fan, even as a brand. You know, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's always worth it. But you know, we have those conversations each year and figure out what's going to work best for everyone. So it's really an ongoing process, I think, of what's going to work for us this year. What did we learn from last year? And so far, we've wanted to keep going back to Petco. So.
Is it something that's always proven has it gotten easier, or is the conversation? I mean, because it always does seem that all the businesses and all the kind of elements around San Diego are very much looking at this kind of cash cow that comes in every single July. Is it still something that we could see developing for Nerdist and Geek and Sundry, or is it getting now very difficult to put on?
No, I think this was a very smooth year for us. I think we learn a lot each year, and so for us, it's really about what's going to be best for Nerdist and Geek and Sundry, what's going to be best for what do we want to take away. The nature of how we cover Comic-Con and how we attend meetings every single year. You know, everyone's live streaming, and doing live programming for years, so it's really about figuring out what people are looking for, what they want to do. At the end of the day, for us, it's about throwing something really awesome for the fans. That sounds like but it's true. It's the most fun that we have, and it's like our Super Bowl each year. You know, the whole team rallies together to put something on that we're really proud of. So I think each year we look at it and say, well, how can we do this better? And whatever that means, we're gonna find a way to do it.
I think people underestimate the joy that you get from making other people happy and giving other people a great experience. It is very fulfilling and a very nice and rewarding experience. Do you do anything with kind of moving forward in thinking about this next few months? Are you going to be doing anything with the television shows, the At Midnight? I think isn't he moving up the At Midnight? Isn't that moving up to 11:30?
Yes, so that's Comedy Central. So we
right.
Interact with them on social media or brands and things like that. But they have their own team managing the At Midnight stuff. Mm-hmm. But coming up for us, we will be at New York Comic-Con. We're figuring out in just exactly what capacity. And you may have seen we're launching a new project called Alpha, which is a partner with Geek and Sundry, and that's going to be, Chris describes it as a community clubhouse. So that's really taking this community that we have and that we're building and that we love, and giving them more avenues to communicate with each other, to communicate with us. We brought back our Twitch channel for Nerdist, so we're doing more live programming throughout the week, and it's all the people who are editing, and then they're hopping onto a show to discuss all Nerdist News Talks Back we have, which is kind of going through all of the different things that we're covering throughout the day. But we should be launching Alpha pretty soon, and it's really exciting because I think it's taking that community aspect to the next level. So we'll have a lot of really fun stuff to share about that in the next couple of months. And then we have Star Wars, and then it's just Star Wars. That's what I'm happy with.
So that's super cool. Excellent. Go on, Alyssa.
So with Alpha, how you talked about building a community. So is it more? Are you talking forum-based with a bunch of web interaction, or
yes.
What exactly is that? I don't understand.
So it's going to be sort of a new place for people to engage more with our content on a deeper level,
mm-hmm.
forums and chats and things like that. There'll be exclusive stuff and hopefully more live events. So there should be more info coming out about that soon, but it's really a place to take both of our communities and put them together. So.
Interesting. Thank you.
Certainly, one thing I wanted to just very quickly come back to CONIVAL in terms of the con event, and this is something that we can kind of wrap things up on in terms of moving forward. Is CONIVAL going to stay at San Diego Comic-Con, or are you thinking of moving it to any of the other cons? Because you do seem very, very selective about the cons you attend. You don't just show up at every single event. It is very much you have a very firm grasp about the events that you want to show up at.
I think, at least for me, we send people to cover different things on a smaller scale, but we really want to make sure that what we're doing is up to the level that we want to be doing it. So, yes, we definitely want to be going to more events and doing more events, and we should be ramping that up, I think, next year. But it's really about making sure that we're not just going to go, that we have a plan, that we have a really awesome thing to share with everyone, because we want to do it right. So there will be more, and I'd be a very sleepy person, but I would love to go to all of them. There's nothing like it. It's such a bonding thing for our teams too, and our whole company goes, and we get to know people that you're in meetings with, but you don't always see all the time, and so it's for us as much as for the audience that we get to put on something that really celebrates the reason that our jobs are so much fun. So.
Well, I can imagine that it's going to be another busy 12 months for you between now and Comic-Con next year. Let's just wrap things up with one thing then. From CONIVAL 2016, what was the highlight for you for this year? If you can pick one.
I would have to say American Gods was my favorite. That was when we booked that, I was over the moon. We had this incredible cast, and the surprise guest, Neil Gaiman and Brian Fuller, and their conversation with Olivia, who was just, she's so thoughtful and really understands storytelling. Questions, but I think that one was exciting for me. And then just in the green room going, oh my god, it's Al Swinton, like just freaking out. So that was really fun. The whole thing for me was just like, okay, be professional, don't run up and give Victor Garber a hug and start talking about it. It's always a fan. So I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. Please come in. Doing the whole spiel, and inside I'm like, oh my god, it's this person. So that's really fun. So the whole thing, I couldn't have been more proud of our team and everything they put on, and how it turned out. Like, I left feeling just so happy about everything, that it all, there are always little things behind the scenes that nobody knows about, but it went so well, and I had such a blast. So I hope people enjoyed it too.
I do have one more quick question for Rachel. Anything about New York Comic-Con? Do you think you're going to be there? Well, I just had to get that in since it's a highlight of my fall, and just a really nice wrap up to the con season.
Yeah, so we will definitely have people there covering. I'm not sure to what extent yet. We're still kind of figuring that out, but we will definitely be there.
Thank you very much.
There you go. You couldn't get more vague than that. That was fine. That's okay. Rachel, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I think we can all agree CONIVAL was an absolutely amazing success. It was an incredible setup and a brilliant addition to San Diego Comic-Con this year. Thank you from people who did attend on behalf of them. Thank you so much for putting that on.
Thank you. Awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I mean, we'd like to say thank you very much indeed for joining us. Where can people find you online, Rachel?
They can find me on Twitter at Rachel, and you can find me all over Nerdist. I'm on and off the Twitch channel that we just launched, which is twitch.tv/Nerdist. So we have a lot of really fun programming. We're doing Nerdist News Live, Nerdist News Talks Back. We have Secret Headquarters with Dan Casey, where he has a panel of guests come on and discuss the music week. We've got Bizarre States Live, Shobot and Andrew Bowser doing occult spooky stuff, which is my favorite. Same here with Justin Shobot, Natural Selection. So we're streaming all week long, and I pop in whenever I have time to just bother people and go, hey. So, yeah, you can see me on Nerdist all the time. That's all I'm doing.
Excellent. Rachel, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and again, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Excellent stuff. So there you go. That was Rachel Hine from Nerdist, giving us a little bit of a peek behind the camera and behind the scenes of CONIVAL 2016. Hope you enjoyed that. Right, we're very quickly going to move on to include and introduce somebody who has never been on the Hangout before, which would be James Binder. Now, this is where I've muted him because we kind of wanted to make sure that we didn't hear the background, because you, as I understand it, are at... oh, hang on a second. Let's just see what I'm doing here. Hopefully that's unmuted him. Oh, good Lord. Come on.
He's
yes.
Just while you're doing with that, he's at Wizard World Chicago at the convention, and has graciously agreed to be on the show. And giving us a live con report. I'm hoping that he'll be able to discuss a couple of questions that we have. One was the controversy about the gun show. There was going to be a gun manufacturer or reseller that was going to be at Wizard World. Number one, I don't think that that has shown up, but we'll get that information from James in a moment.
I think it is a case of James speaking at this point. I think it unmutes him. Are you there, James? Oh, that would be a no. I think you may have to unmute. Is it unmute at your end?
Let me see. How about now?
Oh, there we go.
Hey, all right. Okay.
Okay, James. So, first things first, let's talk about your Wizard World experience. How's it been this week?
Very good. Wizard World is not C2E2. It is not by far San Diego. It's more of a pay-to-play con. You pay your money, you get your autograph. You pay your money, you get your stuff. But for a lot of people, especially in the Midwest, it's the biggest one we've got. So we kind of go with it.
How does it compare to C2E2?
I would say there are more autographs here at Wizard World, but there's less vendors, less artist alley, less exhibitors.
Okay, so let's discuss the. There's been a couple of elephants in the room, so let's get on with the main one, which was CS Arms. Now, just to give everyone a bit of a background on this was a retailer that was submitted to host a booth at Wizard World. They originally were just coming as a cosplay kind of representative, doing replicas for guns. But at the end of the day, their primary business, as listed on their website and Facebook page, is they are gun resellers. And there was also the controversy that they would be selling or reselling guns at Wizard World, which, admittedly, on their social media, they have turned around and said that was never going to be the case. What was, I mean, I know that you went past the booth space. I mean, was it something that was just completely removed from the floor space?
Leonard, it was obliterated. It wasn't even removed. There was no sign of it. Electronically on their map on the Wizard World app, they don't even exist. There was nothing, no one. And actually, I asked a lot of different people walking around. I even asked at Tony Kim's booth, his assistant. They had no idea that it even happened. So there was a lot of smoke, very little fire. And I was expecting protesters and all kinds of things. There was nothing. It was over in 90 minutes. Let's put it that way.
Wow. Well, I mean, was there anybody kind of like loitering around as well? I can imagine there was a fair amount of kind of rubbernecking as people kind of come to the area just to see if it's there and get off the back of the controversy.
On Thursday, I was not here when they removed the booth. On Friday, there's a couple people that I saw go past there 2 or 3 times, kind of looking like, wait, isn't this supposed to be where it is? And instead it was a hot and cold pack throw it in the boiler for 10 minutes, take it out, it's hot, throw it in the freezer, it's cold. And people are like, okay, and that was it. It was very, very, in a sense, well done by Wizard World to make it disappear.
Wow. So, I mean, what's been the general consensus of people that you've been speaking to at Wizard World? Is this a good thing, or is this something that people have felt, you know what, they had a right to be here? What's been the general consensus?
General consensus has been very good that they were not. You see many people walking around. I've seen 20 Deadpools. They all have big, oversized weapons, but they all have the orange front end on them. You can tell they're fake guns. You can tell they're not real. But everyone I've talked to said it's probably better that we don't have real weapons being sold of any type in a convention where people come to feel safe. That's as Alyssa, you said, you find your tribe. This is where to find your tribe. This is where people come to relax, enjoy, not worry about things. And having a gun reseller here, not a good idea.
I mean, it's one thing to do replica weapons from the 1700s, and it's a totally different thing to be doing AK-47s, And just the fact that I know that is scary to me.
I counted...
Yeah, I think the one argument that I had with somebody, which was particularly bizarre, was somebody saying, but don't you want, well, people are selling replica phasers, so what's the difference with that then? And I'm thinking, really? That's the argument you're going to come up with?
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a dilithium crystal that works, let me know. Yeah.
I want one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Another element of the argument as well has been we've seen replica weapons and people selling these at conventions before, but we also see replica blades, say for so like samurai swords and that kind of thing. Is there anybody selling those at Wizard World, and have they had any issues this year, or has anybody confronted them about that?
I have, actually at last count, there was about 13 different sellers of replica blades of every type, from katanas to Klingon batleths to sais to you name it. None of them have had a problem. There's in fact a booth, and it might take me a little too long to walk over there, but it's about 20 feet tall, and there's a giant flashing sign that says swords. So... but I talked to a couple of them. They were very cool, very, oh no, and you can tell the blades thick. They were not sharp. There was nobody really. That seems to be fine. Everyone's been real good with that. No problems with them. And yeah, we've got at least 12 booths here with that.
I'm actually blown away at how many there are, but. Then again, that's just me. I find it a very strange element to be included at a pop culture event. Go on, Alyssa.
Speaking of booths, how many? What are the larger booths at Wizard World about? I mean, I'm assuming there's no DC or Marvel. Am I correct?
No, not at all. You are absolutely correct. Yeah. It's mostly T-shirt booths like Stylin' Online and a few others, but a lot of it is actual comic book sellers. There's certainly a large number of those. A lot of pop culture toy things. Lego's big, but not an official Lego booth. A lot of resellers. So it's like a small version of what C2E2 has.
Okay.
Right.
And I understand the Artist Alley also represents as well.
I'm sorry, Leonard?
I understand the Artist Alley represents quite heavily there as well.
It does, and actually, at C2E2, it goes into the double letters, row A through double D or so. Here, it gets to J, which is actually bigger for Wizard World. We went to Wizard World Madison, my wife and I. She's in line for Foggy from Daredevil's autograph right now. And they only had through like row E or F. Here it goes to J, and there's a fair amount, a lot of artists, a lot of all types.
Go on, Alyssa.
It's escaped me. Oh no! Again, I have the problem.
I do this to her every time. I love it.
Yes.
It's fantastic. I'll tell you what, while she's thinking on her question, let's talk about the other elephant in the room. And I don't know how much this has been discussed this year. This was reported by Bleeding Cool late last night, early this morning, and this is regarding a retailer of art at Wizard World, either in the Artist Alley or just in the art reseller area, where they were actually reselling art by artists that were actually on the floor. Now, this has this come across your radar at all?
Not at all. Thinking about it yesterday, my wife and I went through Artist Alley, and I thought I saw somebody with like the same prints. I know that's become kind of a thing of late. I saw some internet forum stuff about it, not here, but at other conventions where there's resellers selling the same stuff as somebody down the row, and that's not right. My grandfather was an artist. I know what he would say about it, and I haven't heard anything here though. But admittedly, I've been in the autograph area most of the morning, so I did not see it happen. And if Wizard World handled it the same way they handled DS Arms, no one would have seen it. It was that real retailer would probably be gone by now.
Fair enough. I mean, the booth that I remember, well, the booth that we were talking about, this was a booth that was selling Genevieve Brumal's art, and we've had Dan Berry who's reported they've removed all of that art, but they are still there selling art from other people. It sounds like now. It's just, and not only that, but it's a slightly different setup to another bit of controversy that took place at a con earlier on in the summer, where somebody was selling prints that were basically photoshopped versions of art from Jim Lee, major artists that they'd kind of applied a filter to, and therefore they felt justified in selling that art. But this was actual prints from those artists unaltered, which was utterly bizarre. But there we go. Okay.
I'm not quite understanding this. So they bought a single print from the artist, and they reproduced it, and were selling those reproductions.
Correct. That's
okay.
That's the general gist of it.
Okay. Thank you for explaining. Yeah, just nuts and bolts to me, because I mean, there's plenty of people who resell artists' art. All of the comic page people, they're all reselling the art too. So that's why I was a little confused with regards to that. Thank you.
Enough. It is sounding very lively there, James. It must be said. I mean, is it the one thing that we found when we've had outside reports, certainly on the Sundays, is that nowadays it really is a full day. It's no longer a quiet day. Is it like that at Wizard World?
It is, partially due to Carrie Fisher being here, Charlie Cox from Daredevil, and Norman Reedus. I can see him right now. And
so that's where all the shouting's coming from.
If you hear a loud cheer, it's because somebody just showed up. Yeah.
Can you turn the camera around?
Sure.
See. Oops, point down.
Just, do the camera to him. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
is this the autograph area? Yeah.
That's correct. It goes fairly far back. It's surprisingly been it's larger this year than it was last year. They've added, we had the entire cast of the X-Files here the past couple days, which that's my childhood, so that was my starstruck moment. And Michael J. Fox was here yesterday, so they bring in a fair group of people.
Bring in some names, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for being available to talk to us about Wizard World.
Certainly,
I know that you've got the rest of a great Sunday to experience, so we'll let you get off and enjoy that. Thank you very much indeed for taking part. Oh, hang on, Alyssa has one.
Just nice to see you, James.
You too, Alyssa, you too.
Take care. Enjoy your Sunday.
I will. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you very much indeed, dude. Excellent. Off the back of that, then, we will, myself and Alyssa, continue to talk about the other elements that have come up in the Q&A. The one person that has been following these events has been Dan Berry. He turned around and said that there was a statement, and I'm trying to work out where this statement has come from. Customers report that they have been told that these prints that they have been reselling have been sold on behalf of the artist, except this appears not to be true. Certainly, on behalf of Genevieve, that was definitely not the case. Samantha maybe has commented on the replica arms. With the changes in weapons policies at Comic-Con 2016, I'm a little surprised that similar policies haven't extended to booths at other cons yet, at least requiring you to wait until the end of the day to carry any replica swords out of the building. That sounds like a good idea. I quite like that one. That's cool. That quote, by the way, from Dan, that was from the Bleeding Cool article. I will try and find the link to that, and we'll put that in the comments below of this video. Okay. Samantha, maybe again. I know What's Your Passion Jewelry is there selling licensed Marvel merchandise. They're lovely people and make great products. Certainly different than a SDC Marvel booth. So there is the element there of licensing and people actually selling on behalf of people. But it's when you have companies that are effectively just straightforward stealing from the original artist. I can imagine for yourself, Alyssa, as somebody that goes to the artist alley. I mean, this is something that just absolutely incenses you.
Oh, absolutely. I don't buy prints though. And when the artist reproduces something into a print, it lessens its value to me, because I want to see a limited print run. I bought a Sam Hines print. That's actually, let me get to it. I will. A Sam Keith print, and it was limited. It was a high art print, and it was limited to 50 per person. So those are the prints that would particularly incense me, because here I am buying a limited edition item, and somebody is coming along and making a cheap reproduction of it. It would be very annoying. Very upsetting to me. And it's like reproducing a print, an art, a comic art page, and representing it as being the original art page from a comic book, which is by its own nature, one of a kind. It's you don't copy the Mona Lisa. If you copy the Mona Lisa, you say you're copying the Mona Lisa. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Unfortunately, Leonardo isn't around to verify that particular print, so hopefully we don't see that at conventions anytime soon. Thank you very much indeed to Dan Berry for putting the link up. If you are taking part in the Q&A, that is available there. That should give you the full idea of their extent. They also added a thing at the bottom of the Bleeding Cool article, which was almost just putting the boot in. You'll have to go to the Bleeding Cool article to see what I mean. It just seemed a very bizarre setup. Right, there is a conversation that we were going to have regarding the Chargers Stadium, but that is something that came in a little bit late to the conversation to me. So I think we'll talk about that on a future episode. And certainly I think we should dedicate a small portion to a future episode about the whole issue and discussion regarding the expansion of Comic-Con, expansion of the convention center, the plans to use land available in San Diego, and what the San Diego Chargers are doing to coerce and pressure a lot of people into choosing the stadium expansion plan. It does seem incredibly fraught, and it's something that I want to cover in a future episode, very dedicated. I want to try and get some bodies from pretty much all sides of the argument, and I do want to try and get somebody from the I'd love to try and get somebody from the Chargers, from the stadium. I want to try and make it a little bit of an episode of it. So I've suggested that. Don't worry, we are going to cover it. I just want to try and frame it properly. So that's something that we want to talk about.
Makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
I would love to do an episode also coming up on the fall television, and just, you know, talking about all of the shows, the great shows that are coming out this season. I think there's half a dozen sci-fi shows I mentioned at the top of the year. We've got tonight in television, we have a return of Fear of the Walking Dead and Talking Dead, which sets us up for the season premiere October 23rd of the Walking Dead. So that franchise is off and running. They're going to be doing a panel at New York Con. New York Comic-Con is, I think they're doing something at Madison Square Garden, in their Madison Square Garden theater, for both, was it Game of Thrones and Walking Dead? I'm not sure. I'm sure Mike will correct me if I've got this correct. But we've also got tonight is the closing Olympic ceremony. So no more Olympics after tonight, which I have to admit, not being a big fan of the track and field, I'm kind of okay with. But, you know, I can understand people being interested in. Do you watch track and field at all?
I think you're selling yourself short there. I think there's been a lot happening, especially when it comes to the Americans and the bit of controversy there on the track and field. I have no problem with that. Yeah. But no, it is the final closing ceremony tonight. So if you're watching that, right,
There's
just to give you an update of other shows as well that we're going to be doing, and certainly next. Oh, let's say you're looking.
Yeah. No, there's also Geeking Out tonight is doing an AMC. AMC is doing a show called Geeking Out. It's the 3rd episode. This week is particularly notable because Jeff Loeb, the executive VP for Marvel TV, is going to be on. He's a 4-time Eisner Award winner, and he's also going to be on with Charlie Cox from Daredevil. So I'm particularly making sure that I get this one recorded on DVR. I missed the first 2 Geeking Out episodes, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. So set the DVR. I think it's at midnight Eastern time. And hopefully we'll get some insight as to what we're looking forward to for the Netflix and Marvel TV coming up this fall. Okay, take it away, Leonard.
Okay, well, this is just more regarding episodes that are coming up, and also what's going to be happening in terms of how the show is going to be evolving shortly. Next week, another packed show, thank goodness. We've got another live report. We've had somebody who joined us not only on our I'm on a Boat episode, but also a couple of episodes before we got into San Diego. Samantha Maybe is going to be heading to NerdCon next week, so we're going to be having a live report from that. Another show I don't know a great deal about, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what she has to say about that particular convention. So looking forward to that. She's also going to be getting a couple of people involved where we're going to get the chance to talk to them about their NerdCon experience. Catherine Elhofer is somebody who she's going to be jumping in and talking to, so looking forward to that. And we're also going to be joined as well by Shane Chebsey, who is the guy who organizes the ICE Expo, which is the International Comic Expo. That's going to be next week. That's a show that's going to be coming up in the next couple of months. Some major names being involved. He's also going to be talking to us about how the mechanics of putting a con like that on when things go horribly wrong, because the National Arts Council funding was pulled from underneath the rug, basically, and they have managed to get sponsorship. So when things like that happen, we're going to be talking about Shane.
Wasn't he on our show last year too? He was a very articulate gentleman. Really enjoyed that. And that, if I recall correctly, you did an From the Con report on ICE last year, didn't you?
I didn't do it on the site, no, but because it's a one-day event. It basically takes place on a Saturday. But we also had Mike Martz from Aftershock joining us as well. So, hopefully this year there is going to be because I'm going to be going and hopefully going to be attending there for the weekend. Hopefully we'll have somebody joining us for that as well. But next week, Shane Chebsey from ICE is going to be joining us. Right. Something that's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. or certainly in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, is the transition of Google Hangouts from Google Plus to YouTube Live. Now, just to kind of clarify how that's going to affect the Hangouts, in terms of you watching right now, it's not going to affect you at all. It's going to be the same experience. You're going to see us talking just as we are doing right now. The only difference is going to be in the way that you can interact with us, because there's going to be no way of hosting this inside a Google Plus shell. So there's going to be no more Q&A. This is where we're going to have to start doing some working out of how we can change the show. Apparently there is a comment section and a Q&A section built in within within YouTube Live. How it works, because I've never done it before. So what we are doing is we're going to be doing a show on the 4th of September in 2 weeks' time, where we're actually going to be hosting it from within YouTube Live. We're going to find out how the Q&A works, and then in about 2 weeks after that, when the migration fully happens, at least we'll have some idea of how we're going to be doing the Hangouts from there on in. But if there's anything that you want us to talk about, and certainly the ways that you want us to promote the show, and we want to let more people watch the show, do let us know, and we'll see if we can iron out some bugs in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be on Google Plus, so you're more than welcome to get your questions in to Shane and to Samantha on the Google Plus Q&A. So that's how that's going to work. Right, let's just go through a couple of last-minute comments. Michael Leventhal, Doctor Who and Walking Dead is going to be at the Madison Square Garden. AMC owns BBC, so they seem to be taking over the Madison Square Garden Theatre. Expect Fear the Walking Dead and possibly Preacher announced from the Garden further down the road. That's his prediction on that one. Dan Berry is apparently going to be at NerdCon as well, so you never know, we may have 2 people on screen joining us for that particular episode. That could be rather cool. So hopefully Dan Berry will be able to stalk Samantha maybe, and she'll actually be able to know about it this time. So who knows? That could at least keep that official. What else have we got? Pretty much us when it comes to the comments. Excellent stuff. Michael P is watching as well. Thank you very much indeed for all your comments as well. Certainly someone who says that we should do a Chargers episode. So leave it with me. I will make that my priority this week. We will do our best to get that organized in the next month or so. I think that'll be a reasonable timetable. Actually, Alyssa, I wanted to ask you, is there any kind of cons other than New York that we'll be covering in future episodes? Is there anything else that you'll be heading to?
Just Star Trek. I may try and fit something else in if there's another smaller local con in New England. But I don't have anything on my plate at this point. Mostly I'm focused on those 3 events, in addition to starting back up at school, getting back onto winter hours at work, those kinds of things. So once all of that happens, I'll hopefully be able to take a look at the rest of the year and pre-reg, because
well, yes, that is going to be thundering towards us, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're out there and you are attending a con and you want to jump in, we would love to know about any events that you're going to. We'd love for you to jump in on just like James did. He reached out to us and said, "I'm going to be there." Yes, we'd love to see these cons up close and personal. So please do let us know if you are heading to any conventions as the season winds down in the summer. Right, I think that's us. I think it's been a packed show. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed to Rachel. Thank you very much indeed to James for joining us. Alyssa, where can people find you, and what would you like to just wrap up on?
friendsofcc.com/forum will bring you directly to the forum. We've also got a great blog going where I've posted the week in upcoming television, just give some geeky highlights, and that's at friendsofcc.com. I do partake in the Twitter, although not occasionally. I will ignore it for a day or two, and that's Friends of CCI.
Excellent. For myself, you can find me on Twitter, Englishman SDCC. If you search for an Englishman in San Diego in most social medias. I'm there. I'm doing my best to post a lot more on Instagram, and starting this week, my focus is absolutely going to be on the Patreon account as well. You can find me at patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. I'm going to be determined to put some exclusive content up there, especially some video and audio from my time in San Diego Comic-Con, and a little bit of an update of a project which one or two people out there may know about. Bit of an exciting idea that we're floating. You'll be able to find out more about that if you sign up as a supporter on patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Back again next week, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. Join us for our episode with Shane Jepsey and also Samantha Maybe from NerdCon. Do take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.